Hi, my name is Charlie Baca, and I'm a second-year finance major from Toledo, Ohio. Today, I'm standing on the banks of the mighty Olentangy River to teach you about something that I've been passionate about for years, and that's the sport of rowing. Going back to my childhood, I was always a pretty small kid. I loved sports, but I was often at a disadvantage because of my size, and while I played, I never found one that truly stuck. Then, one day in the summer before 7th grade, I signed up for a Learn to Row camp, a week-long summer program put on by our local high school to teach kids about the sport. I was excited because I'd always loved being outdoors, and especially on the water, and rowing gave me an opportunity to do this in a competitive manner. After the camp, I knew that I loved it, and I've been rowing ever since. Here's a little bit of background on the sport. Rowing, also known as crew, dates back to the Viking Ages. Now the sport is a little bit more defined, and rowing involves 1, 2, 4, or 8-person boats, with high school and college teams largely focusing on 8s. The rowers sit behind one another in a narrow racing shell and row with their backs facing the direction they are going. Larger boats therefore need a person who can steer the boat because they can't see behind them. This person is called the coxswain, and he's essentially responsible for calling out commands to the crew while maintaining a straight line down the racing course. The name of the game is speed, and winning races essentially comes down to 2 components. One is pretty obvious: who can move the boat the fastest. The other is less so obvious, and that's the technique. A racing shell is so narrow, barely wider than your waist, that when it's sitting in the water, it's very easy for it to become unbalanced. The rowers therefore have to keep all of their oars at the same exact height the entire time and move in perfect synchrony, otherwise they risk slowing down or worse, flipping over. Definitely something you not want to do on a day like today. What is interesting about a race, or regatta as it's called in the rowing world, is that it pushes you to your absolute physical limits, but it also requires you to be extremely graceful and deliberate in your movements throughout the race. I've been rowing since I was 12. I'd always been a smaller kid, which put me to disadvantage for many years, but in rowing is where I was first able to find size as my advantage. The reason I say this is because on the water, you want a boat to be as light as possible so it reduces the drag that you're carrying as you're rowing. While raw strength matters, which is something I lack because of my size, your strength relative to your size is much more important in determining results. The idea that my size was no longer an issue gave me the confidence to throw myself wholeheartedly into the sport. Knowing that I was a valuable part of the team from a performance standpoint gave me the confidence to try to improve the team overall. As early as I could, I sought to mentor younger teammates and seek advice from older ones. I saw what I wanted to improve, and I wasn't afraid to voice it from there on out, all while learning to become a more effective and empathetic leader. This is something I still strive for to this day, but had it not been for rowing, I may not be where I am. Rowing has been a passion of mine for years, and I hope to continue it throughout the rest of my life, and I still get on the water whenever I can.